It was good, it was funny, and it was dumb all at the same time.
Wow. What an analogy. It was good, it was funny, it was dumb, all at the same time. Why?
Yeah. Okay. It was good because they continued the formula. They continued breaking the fourth wall. They kept showing you like little bits and pieces of her life. Like she's wearing men's suits because they don't make women's suits big enough for her when she's in She Hulk. She's still breaking the fourth wall. She's still saying these kind of dumb jokes. She's still kind of awkward, right? When she goes into She Hulk, she almost becomes a different person, but not really. The whole
Hmm.
dating thing, I was really weary of it. I was like, oh my god, I don't know one of these. Oh my god, I'm so in love. Things are blah 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 blah. But it turned out to be really funny. And here's the in this episode was the first time you saw the She Hulk act like a superhero and get into a superhero fight with all those little demon bat.
Yeah. Side note, chat, this is gonna be spoilers, mild spoilers for the show. We will give thumbs up when spoilers is over for anybody who is watching live.
No, but this was
Um,
in the trailer, so this is not like I'm saying anything that isn't not that is not in the trailer. If you've seen the trailer, this isn't spoiled for you. You see it in there.
yeah, so
In the
we'll try
trailer,
to
you saw her fighting these demon bat rat things.
sure indeed. Sure indeed. Um honestly,
Oh, and it
dude,
was dumb because what's her face? Wong's Wong's bestie.
oh my goodness gracious.
I've
Honestly,
known
man,
women like
I'm gonna be honest. She-Hulk episode 4, horrible. I honestly think I might be done with the series. I'm going
why?
to listen. I'm going to stick with it because it's Marvel, and I want to keep up with what's going on in the MCU and et cetera, because I know things might happen somewhere in this show. I'm not feeling it, man. I'm really not feeling it. Yes,
I
I.
wish you could stick to it like you did with Star Trek. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, I wish
Oh
you would have stuck to it
wow.
like you supposed to do for Star Trek.
Oh man, shots fired. Shots fired. It's
I
okay.
went there.
You
I
went there.
went there.
You went there. It's okay. I deserve that. I deserve that. Um. So yeah, it's just I'm not feeling it. The I think She-Hulk. Dang, what is the actress's name? Forgot her name.
Hold on, give me 1 second. She was also in Orphan Black.
Orphan Black. I didn't see that one.
Well,
Um.
the show is really interesting because hold on, let me see the actress.
Uh.
Tatiana
Tatiana.
Maslany.
Tatiana Maslany.
Uh, it's a show where she has multiple copies of herself, clones in existence. They all have different personalities.
Okay.
And I had forgotten about this show, and because she's on She-Hulk, now I want to see it.
Interesting. I might have to check that out. You might have to remind me about that one. Um. But yeah, her as an actress, like when she's not She-Hulk, when she's just playing Jennifer Walters, I'm fine. You know, like I said, I love the sarcasm. I love the banter between her and Wall, her and her coworkers. That's fun. It feels like I'm watching a pretty interesting comedy. It's just that anything outside of that is just it's boring. I don't know. I
What?
don't.
Okay. What do you find boring exactly? Because I enjoyed the show. Is it Marvel's best? Absolutely not. But is it entertaining? Absolutely. It's better than WandaVision.
Whoa. Did you just say She-Hulk is better than
Better than
WandaVision?
WandaVision.
Oh,
Absolutely.
I cannot believe you just said that.
WandaVision was a whole collection of
Wow. Everybody in chat, everybody who's listening, I want you to leave comments about how you feel about Los's comments about saying She-Hulk is better than WandaVision. I
better than
love
WandaVision.
I thought WandaVision was fun because it tapped into different parts of my childhood with each episode. I think going up to like maybe the fifth or sixth one. Each episode had like a theme to it, and each episode represented a classic TV show. Like we started off with the black and white, which kind of reminded us of Bewitched, and then
Correct.
then like each I can't think of what other shows it was getting inspiration from, but to me that was fun. It was different. Marvel was trying something very different with WandaVision. I remember going into WandaVision looking at this like, what is this going to be? We have a show about Wanda and Vision as a couple. What the heck is Marvel thinking? This sounds ridiculous.
And it
And
was ridiculous.
it wasn't, I wouldn't
It
say
it
it was
lived so much in the TV sitcom world that I was like, where is this going? Each week I would watch it and I was like, okay, you've imitated this show. Okay, you've imitated this show. Where is this going? The best parts of WandaVision were outside the town, not inside the town.
really,
Inside,
that's, go ahead.
I'm not that type of TV person. Understand? Like,
Yeah.
have I watched Bewitched? Sure. Can I tell the episodes apart? No. Could I tell you what episodes I've watched? No. Could I tell you the nose thing? Yeah, that's it in Bewitched. And,
Wow.
and she had a gay uncle.
Gay uncle?
Yeah,
Who was the gay, what, in WandaVision?
in Bewitched.
Oh, I don't remember that show that well. I was like, wait, there was a gay uncle in
Okay, okay.
WandaVision?
But you don't remember that show that well, but yet you're like, oh my God, I love the first part of this Bewitched. See what I mean?
No, no, no.
It's
I'm not
like
saying I love the first one because of Bewitched. I like that they were tapping into getting inspiration from those old
I
school
was
shows.
when I used to sit down as a kid and watch television, I wasn't watching Bewitched. I'd rather watch Good Time than Bewitched.
Wow. Okay. I
I
mean,
would
you know
rather
what?
watch Sanford and Son than something else. You see what I'm trying to say?
I
Like
feel
Dukes
you.
of Hazzard, Airwolf, things like that. Sesame Street. But I wasn't raised on that kind of television. So for me, I didn't care.
And honestly, that's totally understandable. You know, everybody is definitely entitled to feel how they feel about, like these Marvel shows and stuff like that. For me, it was the complete opposite. Anything that was outside of town was like kind of lackluster for me.
Yeah,
Like,
for me, that was the most interesting parts. You know,
well,
it was
it's
definitely way better than Obi-Wan Kenobi, that boring, sad show. Because, God, that show just dragged. Oh my God, he was so sad all the time. And I stood through that just for the podcast, you know? Just like you did through Star Trek.
yeah. So She-Hulk episode 4 review.
No, no, but
Um,
seriously, seriously, like, listen, I know we joke and we bother each other and bust each other's chops because we're friends. That's what we do.
yeah.
But honestly, back to the topic, what was it exactly that you didn't like about episode 4?
I
Um, was it the dating part of it? Was it the fighting part of it? Was it Wong that you didn't like? Was it, or was it just that they added really weird things like, Wong having his bestie,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
think it's just the little weird things. I know they're trying to experiment, they're trying to have fun with the show. I just feel like the writing just doesn't feel like Marvel. It doesn't feel like they're giving their best. I'm not saying that, hey, I want you to give me top quality Marvel film in this like mini series. I'm not saying that. The writing just feels like uninteresting to me. It just feels very lackluster. The
I
animation,
personally feel that you look at it that way because you're expecting a quote unquote Marvel show like, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, instead of looking at it as a law show. Because remember, it's She Hulk Attorney at Law, a
yeah,
law show mixed in with superhero problems.
maybe it
And,
could
and
be
I
that.
kind of think that that's why you're not getting interested in it. It's because you're looking at it through different eyes. And I'm being serious when I say this. It's kind of like when you watch Star Trek, you looked at it through Star Wars eyes instead of watching through new eyes, trying to get it for what it was. And I think sometimes we're so stuck on our expectations
Mhm.
that we sometimes don't give certain other formats a chance. Maybe that was my issue with Obi-Wan, where I expected to be more like The Mandalorian, and instead what I got was something that was far from it.
Yeah. I mean, that could be a possibility. I mean, going into the show, I figured that it would be a little different. We're talking about attorney at law. There's going to be, I was actually excited about the law aspects going into this one. I watched a lot of Law and Order, even though that's not the same thing. But I love Law and Order. And I was intrigued to see how Marvel was going to intertwine law into, this universe. Because like I said, Marvel has experimented with a lot of different things that they've been very successful with, and I was looking forward to seeing what they were going to do in regards to this. And it's not just the fact that, oh, it's law and it's more of that than action. It's just that what they're giving me is just not interesting. It's the writing just doesn't feel like they're giving me enough effort to make me, I mean, to just make it interesting. To me, it's just not interesting. I'm not interested in the story that they're telling.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever read a She-Hulk comic book?
Never.
That's why.
Probably. Possibly, but there's a lot of
If you would read just literally two or three. By the way, you know that all the QR codes that pop up on She-Hulk, if you scan it, you'll get a free comic book.
there's a QR code in She-Hulk.
Yeah, if you go through the She-Hulk episodes, there are QR codes, and if you scan it, you get a free comic book. And if you start reading some of those comics, you'll understand why the show is the way it is, because it's trying to follow much of what the comic book format.
Interesting. I might have to go back and check out some of the episodes and see if I can find
Moon
a
Knight did the
QR
same
code.
thing too. There were QR codes randomly throughout the show, and if you scan the QR code, you would get a free episode of Moon Knight, free issue, a
Interesting.
comic book, Moon Knight.
Interesting.
That's the new
Interesting.
thing that Marvel's doing.
That's pretty cool. I mean, I got to give it up to Marvel. Marvel is very creative with the way they go about like delivering their content. Got to give them big ups to that. Um, I mean, this episode out of all four so far is probably, I would have to say, 100% my least favorite. Episode 3 is probably, I think episode 2 was probably my favorite so far.
Okay, so
How about
here's the
you?
legal thing in She-Hulk that you probably skipped over. When Wong was complaining about Donnie Blaze,
Yeah.
um, he was, he goes, "Oh, nobody should practice the mystic arts, unless they're, for lack of a better term, licensed."
Hmm.
And she was turning around going, "Well, did they sign a contract? Did they sign an NDA? Did they do this? Did they do this?" He's like, "No." He's like, "Well," and then that digs into the legal thing. And
Yeah.
then once you understand that and you start looking at the court case, you're seeing how Wong is so separate from our real world that he was unprepared for this court case. And because he was so unprepared for this court case, he calls his bestie to testify, you know? And when he turns around and goes, "Oh my God," and he prays to somebody, he goes, "Please help me. Please show me some mercy." In the
Hmm.
comic book, it's the God of Mercy in that comic book.
Really?
So, yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay.
um, so if you're looking at it that way and you're seeing how these people who don't live in our world um, are now have to deal with legal parts of our world, you see how that the series makes more sense. It's like, hey, come back to reality, because She-Hulk is essentially based in reality. She wants to be a lawyer. She doesn't want the superhero stuff. She wants to do all the legal stuff. But unfortunately, these superheroes keep getting in the way, and she's got to work
Yeah.
the law in a whole completely different angle. And so those are the things that I like. Could they dive more into the legal stuff? Absolutely. But how many, let's say, teens or early 20s or mid 40s really want to sit there and watch Law and Order Superhero Edition?
That
They
is
don't.
true.
They want to be entertained. So they touch upon it enough to give you the legal setup, but then they move on to showing it to you in an entertaining way. And because I'm following the thread of it,
Hmm.
and maybe it's because I've read a She-Hulk comic book or two, then maybe it's probably why I'm a little more accepting of it.
Probably.
You know,
Probably.
but I will
I
agree. Like there are annoying parts of the episode.
so my okay, so I'm gonna give a few more tidbits on the show. So my annoying part with the show is probably it was kind of annoying but kind of funny at the same time, where she picks up the guy up off the couch and she's carrying him. It
That
was
was in the trailer,
that was in the trailer. That was
so
funny
that's
because,
not a spoiler.
not a spoiler. It was funny because it was just funny to see a big woman carrying that big buff guy. And then it just reminded me of like, oh man, the special effects in this show is so horrible as far as like her special effects. And I know it's still early, but it's like, oh, Like the special, like her special effects can be a little cringy at times, depending on what she's doing.
Here's the funny thing: behind the scenes, there was a bodybuilder man who lifted the other guy up behind the scenes.
Really?
Yeah. Um,
Oh man.
I understand where that's coming from, um, because it's not the traditional male female role,
Yeah.
but you have. I mean, dominatrixes exist because people want to be dominated. Is that what I'm trying to say?
True.
So it kind of
It
shows
does.
that people fetishize superheroes.
Oh, that's gonna lead into a different aspect of Marvel going forward. Like,
Yeah, see, that to me, that's what it shows, that people fetishize it because of what
wow.
happened the next day. I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm just going to say because of what happened the next day, you see all the fetishization of superheroes.
Now, my question and my wonder is why at the end of what are we, three, episode
Four.
3,
Oh, episode three. Okay.
um, the what are they, like the guys in the alleyway who was trying to attack her was like, oh man, we gotta get back to boss and tell him that this didn't work. I'm wondering, when I was expecting them to kind of dive more into that this episode, but they didn't.
Okay. Well,
So
the guys that attacked her are actually a team in Marvel called the Wrecking Crew.
interesting.
They're actually called the Wrecking Crew. And the person who they're calling, I'm guessing, is the leader. And the leader is the guy who Ang Lee's Incredible Hulk, or in the Incredible Hulk movie. Remember,
Yeah.
he had the drops of Hulk blood
Oh yeah,
drip
yeah,
on his
yeah,
head.
yeah.
That's who it is. It's the leader, and he's actually playing that part again in Thunderbolt.
Oh,
The
speaking of
actor.
Thunderbolts, I got some stuff I want to talk about Thunderbolts.
Yeah, me too.
Um, I'm actually low key kind of excited about that right now. So yeah, that is our thoughts on She-Hulk episode 4. Los loves it. I not so much. So, oh, and by the way, we're also doing our chocolate bunny scale. So, Los, on a scale of 1 to 5, how many chocolate bunnies do you give episode 4 of She-Hulk?
3.5. A little better than halfway, but not by much.
I give it 0 chocolate bunnies. Not one damn bunny. I'm keeping my bunnies to myself.
I'm sorry. I think there are parts of it you enjoyed.
I'll give it 1. I just want to be a troll. Just want to be a troll.
Okay.
Anybody who's watching live in chat, let me know. I think there's a bunny emote in the YouTube emote selector. Let me know how many chocolate bunnies you would get She-Hulk in chat.